Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, wanted to welcome all the devotees. Thank you very much for joining us for second canto, chapter 10. This is the last chapter in this canto. It's a short canto, very short canto. The next one is 33 chapters and much longer chapters as well. And we can look at this. We pray for the blessings of Radha Madhav, Krishna Balaram, Gonitai, that we can please them and please their pure devotee Srila Prabhupada by trying to understand a little bit of this very special scripture, the Srimad Bhagavatam. Oh yes, so a very brief overview of this canto. In the beginning, Sukadeva Goswami, he very pleased with Parikshit Maharaj for his endeavor, his question, his resolve that he was cursed to die, and instead of worrying, he went to the banks of the Ganga and waited for him. When he came, he asked wonderful questions about the duty of somebody who's about to die. Parikshit Maharaj answered those questions, and then, Sukadeva Goswami answered those questions. Parikshit Maharaj asked more questions, and again, Sukadeva Goswami gave him transcendental instructions. Parikshit Maharaj also asks about detailed questions about creation and duration of time, etc. And Sukadeva Goswami begins to answer that by referring to the conversation between Narad Muni and Lord Brahma. And okay. Then he describes the birth of Lord Brahma, how he came about, and then the three Vishnus. And then yesterday we looked at how Brahma describes the avatars, and he glorifies the Bhagavatam, and he tells Narad Muni to spread the Bhagavatam. And then Parikshit Maharaj is also glorifying the Bhagavatam, and then more questions are asked by Parikshit Maharaj to Sukadeva Goswami, 30 in total. And now he begins to answer them. In the last chapter, we did chapter 9, the Chatusloki was spoken by Lord Vishnu to Lord Brahma, the 4 verses, which are the bij, the seed of the whole Bhagavatam. And this is second canto, 9th chapter, verse 33 until 36. So try to remember that. Those 4 verses are very important. Okay. So this is a verse 45 of chapter 10, which is very interesting to read. Nasya karmani janmado parasya nuvidiyate krityatva pratishedartam mayaya rupitam hitat.
There is no direct engineering by the Lord for the creation and destruction of the material world. What is described in the Vedas about his direct interference is simply to counteract the idea that material nature is the creator.
So that sort of contradicts everything we've talked about in the last few days, how the source of material world is the Virat Rup. Actually, it is, but the question is of the direct engineering. The Lord doesn't directly get involved in the creation and destruction of the material world. He's got others to do that. Other agencies are there. Lord Shiva and Durga Mata principally. So, but in order to this point that there is no creator and material nature, life comes from matter, needs to be counteracted, because that's the scientific version, and this is what this is what is being counteracted. Okay, so this chapter is called Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. There are 10 subject matters in the Bhagavatam, in the Puranas. Generally, A Purana is complete if it's got these, addresses these 10 subject matters. 5 is the minimum, and that would be considered a lesser Purana if there's only 5 of these subject matters that are discussed. But 10 would make it a proper Purana. And what distinguishes Bhagavatam from all the other Puranas is that all of these 10 subjects, or at least 9 of the 10 subjects, are in relation to Krishna, and the 10th subject matter is all about Krishna. So this is what distinguishes it from the other Puranas and makes it the spotless Purana, which is non-different from Krishna himself. So what are these 10 subject matters? The creation, which we've been talking about, and further discussions will be there in the 3rd canto. The sub-creation, i.e. Lord Brahma's creation. The planetary systems, how they are situated, the protection of the Lord, the creative impetus, the change of manus. This is described in the Bhagavatam quite descriptively. The science of God, returning home back to Godhead. Because if it doesn't contain this, then the Purana is not necessarily going to help us how to become God conscious. And many Puranas don't have this information. Bhagavatam is unique in one sense that it's got this information from the beginning. Liberation and the glories of Lord Krishna, who is the shelter of all the other 9 topics. So these 9 topics are all actually in connection with the 10th. That's what distinguishes the Bhagavad Puran from any other Purana. The whole Bhagavatam is an expansion of these 10 topics. So that's from verse 1 to number 9. The next section, 7 verses, is Mahavishnu expands. He enters each universe as the second expansion. That's Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And he lies on this Garbhodak or ocean. That supreme person is not impersonal. So this is one of the lessons, I suppose, from this chapter, that he is not impersonal, and therefore is distinctively Nara, a person. He also likes to lie down on water. That transcendental water is created from the supreme Nara, is known as Nara. Sorry, it's known as Yana. I think
To
Yana
lie
should be
down is
Yana.
iron.
Yeah, because he lies down on that water. He's known as Narayan. I just have to double check those wordings. The sky, senses, etc. are generated from Mahavishnu. So everything is generated from the Lord. The next series of verses, quite long. This is again describing the universal form. This is in the 2nd chapter. It comes quite a few times. The universal form is described a few times. And just after this chapter, we will just have a quick look at how it's described and why it's described, different ways. Sukadeva Goswami describes how, from the universal form, various manifestations take place. And in the 20th text, he says, when the Supreme Purush desires to smell odors, the nostrils and the respiration were generated. The nasal instrument and odors come into existence, and the controlling deity of air carrying smell also becomes manifest. So the sense of smell comes into play, and the deity in charge of the smell, air, comes into play as well. That's all from the universal form. In this way, all material manifestations expand with all the controlling demigods in their allotted places, and living entities receive material bodies according to their desires. He, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, manifests himself in a transcendental form, being the subject of his transcendental name, quality, pastimes, interruge, and transcendental variegatedness. Although he is unaffected by all such activities, he appears to be so engaged. Then this final part of this chapter and Canto 2, creation, maintenance, destruction. from the Lord according to the different modes of material nature, Sattvagun, Rajagun, Tamagun. All beings expand, such as demigods, human beings, and beings from hell. He, as the maintainer of all the universe, appears in different incarnations after establishing the creation, and thus he reclaims all kinds of conditioned souls amongst the humans, the non-humans, and the demigods. There is no direct engineering. So this is the verse, the final verse. There is no direct engineering by the Lord for the creation and destruction of the material world. What is described in the Vedas about the direct interference is simply to counteract the idea that material nature is the creator. Now, as we were just discussing, the universal form, right? Bhagavatam is very unique because from the beginning, it directs the conditioned soul towards highest realization, which is bhakti. And it is the book incarnation of the Supreme Lord. Now, why is this universal form mentioned, especially in this second canto 3 times? It highlights the Aishwarya opulence form of the Lord before the Madhurya sweetness of the Lord. Basically, the first 9 cantos show the amazing omnipotency of the Lord. It shows his greatness. And then the 10th canto shows his sweetness. So the reason for that is we may not understand the greatness of the Lord. It's good to understand his greatness, and then we can appreciate his sweetness even more. So that's why the focus is on his greatness. And part of his greatness is his universal form. So in the second canto, it's described 3 times. In the first chapter, from verse 26 to 37, Sukadeva Goswami describes the different parts of the body of the universal form corresponding to the different planets. I don't know if devotees recall that. The 14 planetary systems, and Satyalok is his forehead, and Patalok is his feet. So Sukadeva Goswami is describing the universal form in conjunction with the different planetary systems. The purpose for that is for those yogis who don't accept that the Lord has a personal form. So for them, they're not excluded from this Purana. They're included. They can meditate on the Virat Rup, which is not showing the personal form, it's showing the universal form. And then gradually they can progress up to the yoga ladder, as we've been discussing before. So this Purana is phenomenal because it's encompassing everybody. Chapter 6, 18 sloks, which is where Lord Brahma is describing how Garbhodakshaya Vishnu's limbs provide ingredients for the creation of the universe. I don't know if you recall that. The purpose of that is to establish the Lord as the material and the efficient cause. So ultimately, everything comes from him. He may not be directly involved, but it comes from him. It's lying dormant whilst he is asleep in the Karanadakshay form of Lord. Then the third time, we've done it in this chapter. And if you've read the chapter, you will see how Sukadeva Goswami describes the creation of the Virat Rups through differentiation of the 3 features, Adya Atmika, subtle organs, the Bhautika, should be the gross organs, and then Adi Devika, the sense devatas. So for example, the example we gave, when the Lord wants to smell, the devata in charge of smell comes into play, air, in fact. And what is the purpose of that? Living beings receive material bodies, which are first sanctioned by the Lord according to their desires. So this is the purpose of why the universal form is described 3 times in this canto. It's quite interesting. Okay, so any questions?
Prabhuji,
Hare
yeah,
Krishna.
I was reading the first canto and I found something which I thought is very interesting, something that I was looking for.
Yes.
I think it's in the first verse, which says, the first Purush incarnation of Govinda, Lord Krishna, known as the Mahavishnu, goes into the Yoga Nindri. So this is what I was trying to assess between relationship of the Vishnu and the Lord Krishna. Here it says that the first Purusha incarnation of Govinda, Lord Krishna, is the same as the Mahavishnu.
Yeah.
If
That's
I'm not mistaken, if I'm not mistaken.
absolutely right. Karanadaksha Vishnu. That's the first one.
Yes, Karanadaksha Vishnu, yes.
He's lying on the ocean
Yes,
having a nap.
yeah, yeah,
Correct. Correct. So that's in the first verse.
yes.
Good. Good. Thank you for sharing that, Naniben. And it's so nice you're studying this with, you know, with attention, which is very important actually. In order to get the blessings to understand the Bhagavatam, if we put the effort in, then the Lord reciprocates. So
Sometimes it's very complicated, but you just, as you said yesterday, you just have to read through it more than trying too hard to understand it.
correct. The desire is there to understand it.
Desire to learn, yes.
Yeah, to learn. And then it's up to the Lord to fulfill that desire.
Yeah.
But yeah, second canto is quite challenging. It's a short canto. In the universal forms are a little hard to grasp. But we just need to understand that ultimately the Lord is in charge. He doesn't necessarily directly get involved in the creation and destruction, but he sanctions it and he's the source of everything. That's the important point.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's no questions, then let's move to the lessons. Yeah. So in Duleka Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare
Hare
Krishna, everyone.
Good. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So we have reached the end of the second canto, and I'm going to read the lessons and then give a little whatever I have understood. Can you hear me properly?
Yes. Good.
Thank you. Okay, chapter 1, we should try to cut off attachment to the material body, and we should not be afraid of death. So in the title of chapter 1 is the first step in God realization and the invocation. Here the mantra Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya is explained, meaning the all-pervading personality of Godhead. It is also stated that this is a second, in the second chapter, maybe also called the cosmic manifestation. Dev Goswami continues with Srimad Bhagavatam narration to King Parishad, who is listening with full attention. And chapter 2, whoever is able to make their life perfect through devotional service is never attracted by the material glitters. And chapter 2 title is The Lord is in the Heart, the Lord in the Heart. Here it is mentioned that only in this human form we can meditate upon the Lord to revive our forgetfulness. And one should render service upon the Lord as he is the ultimate goal of life. Thus one can end the cause of the conditioned state of existence and go back to Godhead, to the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna. And chapter 3, we should not worship demigods for material benefits because the fruits are temporary and limited. And the title is Pure Devotional Service, the Change in Heart. In this chapter, a list of demigods is given for different material gains, but again, they are all perishable and temporary. Instead, we should be attracted to the transcendental knowledge in relation with the Supreme Lord. Thus, we become free from material attachment. We should be constantly discussing and listening to the transcendental pastimes of Lord Sri Hari in the company of devotees. And thank you, Nabi Prabhu, for this. That's what we are doing right now, right?
Thank you to everybody.
Number 4, association with pure devotees of the Lord can purify all sorts of fallen souls. And the title is A Process of Creation. Sukadeva Goswami continues with his narration of Srimad Bhagavatam, constantly paying obeisances to the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sukadeva Goswami also explains the Lord's relationship with different living entities, like him remembering one of the members of the, like he became one of the members of the Yadu dynasty, and then friends with Sridharma, Madhumangal, Sudama, and Arjuna, and he became the son of Nand Maharaj and Yashoda Mai, and the lover of the gopis, without forgetting the cows. This is chapter 4. And chapter 5, one should always be aware of the Supreme Personality of the Lord to avoid illusion. And the title is The Cause of All Causes. Hare Krishna.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah. Should be okay
Yeah?
now. Should be.
Okay. The title of number 5 is The Cause of All Causes. Here Narad Muni is questioning his father, Lord Brahma, who is the second creator. Narad Muni wants to know about the first creator and the source of all the knowledge of Brahmaji. It is therefore explained to Narad Muni about three material modes, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance, and how these are controlled by the Lord, but he is aloof from these. The Lord is not, he does not interfere with this. And how the universe came into being and how different parts of the body manifested for different purposes. The Virat Roop, also universal form, is also discussed here. And chapter 6, the spiritual world situated beyond this material world is for those who will never take birth again. And chapter 6, the title is Purusha Sukta Confirmed. The opulences of the universe, of the form of the Lord, are described here, also with elements which are generated from which part of the Lord's body. And the Vishnu Tattva is explained, the free expansion of the free Purushas are explained. So he says it's Karana Udakshayi Vishnu, the cause of all causes. Karana means casual, and Udakshayi means Udaksha is a water, and Shai Vishnu is who lies down. And Garbha Dakshai Vishnu is the universal egg, Garbha, which is the womb also. And Udaksha is water again, and Shai is who lies down. And Shirodakshai Vishnu is all incarnation come from him, and he is a Paramatma in everyone's heart, within every atoms. And then chapter 7 is the Lord is conquered only by love and surrender, not by force or pretense. And the title is Scheduled Incarnations with Specific Functions. This chapter deals with different incarnation of the Lord for specific tasks, such as Varaha, to bring Mother Earth back to her orbit, Kapil Dev to instruct Mother Devahuti, Matsya to protect the Vedas, Kurma to help in the churning of the ocean, Narsimha to protect his devotee and keep his devotees' words, Vamana to give the Devtas their planets back, Dhanvantri to propagate the Ayurvedic medicines, Parshuram to annihilate the impious Kshatriyas and give power to the Brahmanas. And similarly, there is a pastime of Lord Ram, Krishna, and Balaram, Vyasdev to compile the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Vedas, and then Buddha and Kalki to come. And then we have chapter 8. While reading and listening to Srimad Bhagavatam, we should be enthusiastic and never take it as a burden because it gives joy to the heart. And the title here is Question by King Pariksit. King Pariksit listened to the narration of Srimad Bhagavatam for 7 nights and 7 days. He did not eat, did not drink, nor sleep for a single moment. Yet he was fresh and very enthusiastic while listening attentively and constantly asking questions from Sukadeva Goswami. His only goal was to place his mind upon the Supreme Lord and to be completely free from material qualities. Thus, he could relinquish his body. He did not care about his death. All he wanted was to surrender to Sukadeva Goswami so that Sukadeva Goswami could impart the spiritual knowledge onto him. And then we go to 9. Chapter 9, the most important qualities to cultivate is to be submissive and humble. The title is Answers by Citing the Lord's Version. Here, Sukadeva Goswami speaks about the illusion of the living entities. We should never forget that we are not the Lord, we are his servitors. We should not dwell on the concept I, me, mine. Also, the type of different species of living entities are discussed in this chapter. The Lord explains the Chatusloki to Brahma as he was not sure how he would start the creation of the material world. And the Lord is within everything by his energies, yet he resides eternally in his abode. Also, the Supreme Lord abode is described where Maya, illusion, does not exist. Srimad Bhagavatam was narrated to Brahma by the Lord, and then Brahma narrated it to Narad Muni, his son. Narad instructed it to Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva narrated it to King Parikshit and Sutta Goswami and others. Sutta Goswami narrated to Sonaka Rishi and to many sages at Naimisharanya. Also, this Srimad Bhagavatam was narrated by Maitreya Muni to Vidur and by Lord Shiva to Parvati. And there are other also that I don't know about. And then chapter 10, liberation is a permanent situation of the living entity after giving up the gross and subtle material bodies. And the title is Bhagavatam is an answer to all questions. In this last chapter of the second canto, the creation of the universe, sub-creation, planetary system, protection by the Lord, the creative impetus, the change of Manus, science of God back to Godhead, liberation, and Samambana, meaning the highest good are explained. And then also is explained how from the transcendental body of the Lord, everything is generated, even the demigods. It ends with a verse from Brahma Samhita. It says, Ishwara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadhir Adhir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Let us all obey the Supreme Lord, whose hand is in everything without exceptions. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. The 10 topics of the Bhagavatam, Bhagavatam, not answered in this chapter, but in chapter 10, but that's the topics that will be covered throughout the Bhagavatam. So it's quite good. Madhusun Prabhu? Oh, yeah. Are you there, Madhusun Prabhu?
But 1 minute.
Okay. So after this, we can, unless there's any additional questions, we can go into the questions of the first canto.
Okay, no. Haribo, Nabi.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Haribo.
Your side.
Sorry.
There's an echo.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, that's better.
Yeah, okay.
That's,
I'll silence myself.
Okay, right, yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. So the key instruction is the 10th chapter. So amazingly, we've done second canto now. Wow. And the chapter 10, as explained by Srila Prabhupada in the purport, we should understand that the original creation is directly from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or Parabrahman. And the secondary creation, as a reactionary result of the original ingredients, is made by Brahma. Thus, the activities of the whole universe are started. So as Krishna, creates, first of all, he obviously creates directly the spiritual aspects and the personalities like Sankarshan and Aniruddha, and so all those expansions, and obviously spiritual kingdom is 3/4 of the whole creation, whereas the material world is only a quarter aspect. But just like a government has to create a prison house, every country there will be a prison house. So they expect that there's some citizens are not going to comply with the laws and all that. So like that, even the Lord has to create, because he knows that the original, so many of all the living entities, some will want to be independent. And Prabhupada explains that streak of independence that we seek is to try to be like Krishna. We want to enjoy and be the Lord, and we try to lord it over the material energy. That's why Krishna has to create this. But he allows total independence. So then Brahma creates the secondary creation of the material world. And we've gone through that within this chapter, right? So that was the instruction, I think, for chapter 10. Because there's not much, there's a chapter 10. I think, because up to chapter 9, everything is great, and then just
yeah.
No,
that's good.
So we should just be aware of, at least, that the main creation is by Krishna.
Yeah.
First, Krishna instigates it, obviously, and then he's got so many secondary, where this creative potency is there within Krishna, so that's also within all of us as well. But we obviously direct it towards our own sense gratification and our own, and then we are under illusion, because Krishna has to put us all in illusions, so that we can pretend to be masters of the universe or something like that. That we are, but I know that we are trying to either, but that's basically the situation, But Krishna actually wants all of us to be the servitors as they are, in the spiritual world. So he obviously tries to get us out of illusion all the time. And Maharaj Parikshit was the classic example in the second canto of some divine kind of intervention or a slap, as they say, try to wake us up, so that we can regain our full constitutional position as a servant of Krishna. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
But amazingly, second canto, we've all come to that stage,
Yeah, no.
Wonderful. Now
it's a small one, that's why. So
it's
the next one is going to be interesting. Thank you.
Yeah,
I know many.
Some of the questions are amazing in this. In this canto, though, how much Parikshit asks questions to Sukadeva Goswami about specific things like what creation, how does a living entity get born,
right.
How do they live, what even about Manus and
and he answers
so
them all.
many. Yeah.
So let's go to
good. Well done.
Chitra, you can share your screen.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So we're going to look at questions from chapter 7 of the first canto, and we'll see what we can get through. Tomorrow, actually, the Brothers of Sam from Ghana will be joining. So we won't do the questions tomorrow. We'll do them on Monday. There will be, we won't get through them today. So, okay, very good.
What was Vyasadeva surrounded by in his ashram?
Armed guards? Oh.
Cherry trees.
Wow.
That's so berries.
So, well done.
Well done, Suresh.
How did you know that?
I remember that.
Wow. So, Suresh, how did you guess that?
Because I know berries is shrubberies.
Yeah.
Okay. You smart.
Who was punished by Arjun?
Oh, yeah.
Son of Drona.
Interesting.
Leave it.
Drona.
Son of Drone. Oh.
Son of Dronacharya.
Mm.
How many times did Yudhishthir conduct the Ashwamedh Yagna?
Good.
Who ran towards Krishna's chariot when he was leaving for Dwarka?
Uttara.
Who was the then priest of the Pandav?
Oh, must be Drona.
Yeah.
Dhomya.
Where was the sun when Bhishma died?
Northern Hemisphere.
From whom did Krishna ask permission to leave Hastinapur?
Yudhishthir.
Who showered flowers on Krishna?
Dwarka's queens. Yeah.
Devotees?
No. The royal ladies
Royal ladies of the Kurus.
in Dwarka.
Why did Krishna suspend his journey?
To meet him. Sure. Interesting. Yeah, right.
To perform evening rite.
You got 100% so far.
What was Dwarka also known as?
Vaikuntha.
Anarthas.
And what does that mean, anathas? Any idea? Interesting. Thank you for sharing that one.
How many palaces were there in Dwarka?
16,108.
108.
Who did Yudhishthir rule resemble?
Pandus.
Pandu. Yes.
What is the meaning of Parikshit?
Examiner.
Examiner.
Actually, you're not meant to call them out, huh? He's just work it out.
From whom did Vidur learn?
Narad Muni.
You're in the corner.
Am I? Ah,
Yeah. Maitri.
Maitreya Rishi. Who did Vidur preach to? Dhritarashtra. Who went to Dwarka? Arjun.
Yeah.
What was Arjun feeling when he returned?
Confusion.
Not only in the corner, but upside down as well.
Yes, don't speak out, please.
Please. In what direction did Yudhishthir go? No. What did Arjun lose? His power.
Oh.
What disguise did Kali use? Kali was disguised as a king. What form did Dharma take to wander about? A bull. What did Parikshit want to do to Kali? Maharaj Parikshit wanted to kill Kali.
You're laughing because Chicha thought that there was a shredder at that time.
That's what?
Shredder.
Good.
What did Kali ask from Parikshit? His protection. Who did Parikshit insult? Samikarishit. Who cursed Parikshit? Shringi, the son of Samikarishit. Who appeared in front of Parikshit? Sukadev Goswami.
Well done.
Well done. Excellent.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So
No, wonderful. It's amazing.
very good effort. Very good effort. So who got less than 100%?
I did.
Me.
I think you. Are you still standing at the back, upside down?
Yeah, somebody's hanging upside down. Now they can. Now please allow them to be back to normal now.
Definitely.
Did you copy, Prabhuji?
No.
He wasn't bad. He wasn't too bad.
I think between the two of us, we got 100%. But I think she got more than I did.
I can believe that.
But it was very nicely done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
Good.
Good to jog the memory.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody found that useful? Anybody found it too challenging?
No, it's jog the memory. That's what.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
Very, very challenging. Very challenging. They were very hard questions.
Like Samika Rishi, I think everybody should have probably got that one.
Yes.
Shringi, those sort of questions.
They're okay. Questions are very nice. And as you said, jogged our memories.
Yeah, it was good. And
we'll pray for you, Suresh.
Thank you.
We're not letting you off the hook.
Yeah, I know.
No,
At least I got 2 or 3.
Yeah, definitely.
So, who is Parikshit, the examiner then?
That's right.
Yeah. That's right. Okay, so thank you, everybody, and
we got through that.
We got through it. Yeah, very good. So Monday we will look at the third canto. I was thinking we'd delay it for a few days, but anyway.
I can ask Prabhuji.
Yeah.
In the sort of in third canto or any other cantos, the chapters is there a maximum number of the sloks? Because sometimes to read 3, it can be a little bit hard work.
Oh, I see. 3 can be tough. Yeah.
Because up to 50.
I know some are big. Chapters.
Some are very big. Yes. Yes.
The 10th one was big.
Wait till we get to the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Some of the chapters in there have 400 verses.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But no, we'll assess it. If it's too long, we can just do 2 chapters. That's absolutely fine. I'll have a look.
Yes.
Going along. Thank you for making that point.
It's because sometimes you want to read the purport, but it's
yes
too long. You want to
No,
finished.
you're right. You're right.
Okay, all right.
Thank
Okay,
you. Thank you for.
I'll have to
That was
do
a
it now.
fantastic suggestion in that event. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Okay then. See you on Monday.
Yes,
Hare
thank you.
Krishna.
Take care. Hare Krishna. Have a good weekend. So let's go to the Nasinga Kavach.